we're going to talk a little bit about fun stuff, all right? Let's pretend COVID doesn't exist right now. We're out there and we're doing dates. Where would you take your girl on the first date? You know, that seems like a simple question, but when we're doing international dating, it gets a little more complicated because then we have to take things into account like language barriers and cultural barriers, and you just don't know as much when you're over there. You might need a little bit more assistance and things like that. So this first date thing, although you may have it down here in the States if you do much dating, but when you go to Colombia, you go to China, you go to the Philippines, Thailand, Ukraine, Russia, wherever you're going, there's all kinds of different things to explore and see and do, and the women are usually very motivated to take you around and show you a lot of these things, right? So I got a few of my ideas, and then when you guys are asking questions or whatnot, I would love to see what some of your ideas are as well, all right? Now, one thing that I always try to do on a first date is try to keep it as simple as possible. You don't want to do something too crazy on the first date because you never know how it's going to go. Now, maybe you've already met at the social, and the socials, as you know, guys, are a great way to screen, a great way to see if the energy's there, if the mutual chemistry and all that is really there. And if you've already met her at a social, then you can almost slide into that second date knowing that, hey, I know I want to spend a few hours with this girl, I want to impress her, I want to do blah, 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 whatever it is. And that's great. If you've never met her before and we're set up a date for you for the very first time, then you don't know. You know, we get some guys, maybe they wrote and they did not, stuff like that, or maybe even did a Skype call, and then they go over and meet, and then they get disappointed. Oh my God, she just wasn't that interested. It just seemed like she just wasn't there at all. Well, that can happen. That can happen the other way around too, where you meet and she's interested and you're not. I mean, there's a million different reasons why that can happen. So you want to be a little bit careful if you've never met her before, right? You didn't get the option to screen her at a social or something like that, then you want to try and do something a little more low-key for your first date. But let's talk about a couple different date ideas here. Now, these all don't have to be first dates, but the obvious is the dinner date, right? I mean, that's the easy thing. That's what a lot of guys do. I'd say that would probably be the number one thing that guys do on dates is either going to be a lunch or a dinner. You're going to go out, you're going to get food. Because we all got to eat, right? And so we go to the restaurant, everyone feels comfortable. But when you do that, you want to be in charge. You want to be picking the restaurant. So make sure you talk to our staff. Normally we'll give you a list of restaurants that we recommend, especially in the Ukraine where there can be some issues with some scams and stuff that go on with the restaurant scam and the this and the that. And so we'll give you our input on where we think you can go where, first of all, it's going to be safe. Second of all, it's going to be a good environment. You don't want to go someplace that's going to be so loud that you can't talk. You want to have, be able to interact with each other. You don't want to go someplace that's going to be hundreds of dollars for dinner, especially on a first date. So we can help you with that as well. So picking the right restaurant is good. Remember, guys, women like a man with a plan. Women like a confident guy. Women like a guy that can say, hey, let's go here. I got this great thing. I really want to try this. Let's go here. Or even surprise them. I'm not going to tell you where we're going. It could be a surprise. I want to know what you think. Sometimes you got to be careful with the surprises, how you do it, but a lot of times women like that. But if I've learned over the years that if you're going to surprise a woman with a 3-day trip and you really don't tell her in advance and you pick the wrong time or you pick, you don't let her pack properly or something like that, then they get mad at you. So you got to be careful with that. So there's ways to figure that out. All right, so the dinner date or the lunch date, that's easy, and that's fine. Another one that's pretty common domestically, at least, would be the movie, right? Hey, let's go see a movie. Well, when you're in a foreign country, that might not work so well because it's obviously a different language. Now, if you go to a movie with subtitles or something like that, that might work. I'm not a big fan. I never understood the idea of a movie on a first date or second date. Because the idea of that first date or second date is to get to know each other. If you go to the movie and you're sitting there watching a movie, it's kind of hard to really get to know each other, right? You're not talking, you're not really interacting with her. You might pull that old, put the arm around her, that kind of thing, okay, maybe. But you're not really, seeing where that chemistry is. So I'm not a big fan of the movie, especially in a foreign country, probably wouldn't do it. I got a lot of other ideas here though, so we'll get to those. but I want to get a few of your questions, comments, and things like that. Guys, I need you. You make up this show. This is why we do it. We're here to answer your questions, and we do have some regulars here, and I love that when you guys are here all the time and you help and you guys make the show as good as it is. But you know, if you guys are new, please ask a question. And you know, if you're new to this, you might think that the question is rather basic, but that's okay. Ask it anyway, because there's probably 100 other guys out there watching right now that have that same question. They're just maybe, I don't know, shy or embarrassed to ask it. But you know, if you're new to this, it's okay. Whatever you want to ask, that's fine. And we'll talk about it and we'll answer it. So this is your forum. We do it for you. So ask whatever you want to ask. Boaz Fraser Bay says, I don't know if I'm getting that right. I don't think I'm pronouncing that right every time I see that, but I really appreciate you coming on, even though I'm probably butchering your name. Coffee shop for a first date. Dinner or a movie is a terrible first date. It's hard to have an exit if things are going bad. Now, yeah, that's what we were just talking about, right? I'm not crazy about the movie either. Dinner on the first date, depending on how fancy it is. You don't want the soup to nuts type dinner, right? You want something that's just going to be, you know, maybe fun, a little bit low key, easy. So not this long, drawn out dinner, fancy and expensive, and you know, the whole wine and the this and the that. Yeah, probably not. I agree with you. But there are places we can go on a first date for a dinner that are just cash, easy, fun, light, that kind of thing. Okay. Okay, Stratus. I don't know. Again, I can't read. I got to learn English one of these days. I'd love for a lady to take me to her favorite place in her city and explain why. Then some great food. Now that is a cool idea. I like that idea. You're kind of putting the ball in her court, and I think that's interesting. I think it's good. I think then you pick the restaurant afterwards. But let her take you to her favorite place, unless it's far away and you got to eat someplace over there. You just go pick one somewhere. That's okay. But you know, hey, you take me. What's your favorite place? You know, as long as it's not a really expensive place, that's the only thing I worry about. Sometimes you might get stuck, and she might take you to one of the most like, oh well, I love going to, I don't know, what's a really expensive store, the one with all the really expensive purses, Coach store or something like, I don't know, whatever those are. Yeah. So you gotta be careful about that a little bit. But if it's something that she's cool and she's good and she wants to take you to maybe, I don't know, some country place where she grew up, or a lake that she really loved by her house where she grew up, or something like that, that would be awesome. My wife did that with me last time we were in Russia. She never got a chance to show me this one school where she grew up, and kind of she grew up in this really far out of St. Petersburg, maybe, I don't know, 30, 40 miles away, and there's lakes out there and just all kinds of cool stuff, and she just took me around to all these things, and it was really neat to see and share that, and her eyes lit up when she started talking about her memories of that place, and then I was able to share that with her. And even on a first date, that could be a cool thing. Okay? All right. McKissick says, I prefer to do something fun and interactive, like miniature golf or horseback riding or wine tasting. Drive up the coast along with a moonlight walk, and the beach is always nice. It's always that moonlit walk in the beach. I think every guy has that on his profile somewhere, so they like that. I get that. I'm trying to think if I ever did that. I probably haven't done a whole lot of walks on the beaches, but I think that's kind of cool. But I like the interactive stuff, McKissick. I think you're on the right track with that, with a miniature golf. And guys, we do that stuff, and our staff is really, really good at helping you to come up with these ideas for that interactive stuff and finding it. The horseback riding, we did that in Kyrgyzstan. I remember we went out and we took this couple to these stables. We even filmed it, and it was really neat. The only problem was that the horses, they wouldn't let you just ride them on your own. They kind of had this person with their hand on the reins, and they were just kind of leading the horses around the pass, which I thought was a little strange. But hey, you know, you roll with it. But it was cool. Beautiful stables, by the way. It's beautiful horses out there. So if you're into that kind of stuff, horseback riding or stuff like that, that's really fun to do, and I think that's great. We have Leonard on. Leonard's here. That's great. Good to see you, Leonard. Leonard is our manager out in Thailand, and he's still very much very optimistic about the opportunity of doing our August Thailand tour. So if any of you guys are watching that would like to partake in that tour, Thailand is trying very, very hard to get back to normal, and they are phasing in their reopening, and they're just getting ready to reopen some more restaurants and bars. I just read about that this morning, and I'm still not positive that we're going to be able to do that tour there this August, but I'm hopeful. And so, and I know Leonard's very hopeful. So Leonard, if you want to come back in with some of your great date ideas for Bangkok, I'd love to hear one or two of some really cool things you can do in Bangkok, especially on a first date. Remember, first dates are a little bit different because we don't know each other very well. Everyone's really nervous, they're shy. I'll tell you one thing, guys, here's a secret. You want to go to the Ukraine and you want to impress a woman on a first date and have something that's kind of interactive and fun that they really love for some reason. I don't know what it is, but they love this. And that's bowling. Take her bowling and she'll love it. And let her win. If you're like an expert bowler, like one of those guys every Saturday morning that bowls like crazy on TV or something, don't do that. You know, show her, yeah, you can show up, but have fun with it. But yeah, bowling. And another thing that they really, really love, and I don't know if this is great for a first date or not, but maybe, is karaoke. Something about karaoke, especially in the Philippines. Oh my God, they're all doing karaoke all the time. And so yeah, I don't think I've ever done karaoke either, even though you see me with a microphone there, but I wasn't singing, trust me. I mean, they banned me from singing when I was in like third grade. I had to mouth the words in the music classes. No. So I don't do a lot of singing. Never got that voice. But the bowling and the karaoke are two things that women in the Ukraine, Philippines, other places like they just love to do. Especially the bowling in the Ukraine. Something about that. Karaoke pretty much everywhere. All right. Blue says, I'd like a nice restaurant, though I don't eat much as per conversation. Yeah, I'm not crazy, Blue, about that nice restaurant concept for the first date. I just don't like it because you just don't know what's going to happen on that first date. And you're in this foreign country, and to go out to a really nice restaurant, it's just, I don't know, the restaurant makes a really nice restaurant makes people sometimes feel a little, I don't know, uncomfortable, especially if it's kind of one of those pretentious places. And I like it more cash. I like it more just fun, open, not a lot of pressure, first date, that kind of thing. And the staff, again, will be really good at giving you some good ideas of where to go for that first date. Now, when you really like her, it's like Tanya and I, basically on our first date, I hope I don't get this wrong because she's probably watching and I gotta sleep on the couch. I hate that. But I think it was the zoo. We went to the zoo, and actually there's the guy right in that video that was 2 years old at the time, our son, who went with us and proceeded to throw up all over me because to this day, he still gets motion sickness. He's 25 and he still does. But back then when he was 2, yes, and I learned that very quickly. So our first date constituted that. But you know what? I remember that day like it was yesterday. I remember walking through the zoo, and the zoo is another great idea for a first date because you're just kind of walking in a park with interesting animals and things to look at. Although some of the zoos in like Russia, Ukraine can be a little depressing because they're not very progressive, and some of the animals are kind of locked up in these little cages. It feels like you're more touring a prison than a zoo. But that aside, it was a really kind of cool thing to do, and they had these place like amusement park thing where you could play and the kids could go in the little cars and drive around, and of course he did that, and we just kind of sat back and watched, and it was fun. It was really fun, and that was a great first date for us. But we had met at the social, obviously, first, and we knew each other a little bit from there. But yeah, okay. Let's see. Sly says, first date, no brainer, coffee and a bakery. Good. Yeah, that's really good. Coffee and a bakery. You cannot go wrong with that on a first date, okay? It's inexpensive. It's great. Everybody can relate to some good baked goods. And you got some coffee. You're talking. Just expect coffee in a lot of the places overseas is not exactly like what you're used to coffee here. Even though they call it Americana coffee, it's really not Americana. And it's this tiny little cup usually because it's usually espresso. And so you have to get used to the coffee, especially in Ukraine and other countries. But that's okay, you'll get used to it. It's not exactly like it is here. But that Sly, that's a perfect idea. I love it. Coffee, bakery. Love that idea. No chemistry on the first date. Next her. Yeah, well, yeah. And that's what it's about. But that's why I love the socials, because if you go to the socials, you get to go on a bunch of first dates, right? In a very short period of time. So to me, the socials would be the best first date. That's a cool way. It's like speed dating. You get to meet each other, and then you go out and do something maybe a little bit more advanced on the first real date, even though it's not really the first date because the social was. So, yeah. That chemistry thing is important. Blue says, John, if the September tour is canceled, is it better to be only a meteor? Wait a minute. John, if the September tour is canceled, it better be only for a meteor coming to hit the Earth. I think a meteor might have been an easier thing to deal with than what we're dealing with COVID. At least you can see the damn meteor, right? You can feel it, you can touch it. This thing's invisible, and yet we're all freaking out over it because it's causing havoc, wreaking havoc, but it's the strangest thing ever, mainly because it is invisible and you can't really see it. You're just going by what people are telling you and the numbers and everything, and it is making things very, 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 very difficult. So I don't know what to tell you. I don't want to cancel any more tours. I really don't. You don't know how hard that is for me to do. I mean, it goes against every fiber of my being, because what do we tell you guys all the time? Go over, go over, go over. Then, well, sorry, you can't go over. It's ridiculous. It is just the exact opposite of what we want to do. I think, unfortunately, there's other companies out there that oh, this is great. Don't have to worry about anybody going over. That's not us. We want you to go over. We want you to experience it. We want you to meet. We want you to see what happens. And again, I'm not the kind of guy that wants you guys to sit there and write forever. I don't think you need to write. And I don't want to get into the whole correspondence thing right now, but all I can tell you is that I never wrote a single letter when I met my wife. I went over and I met her. And I know it's hard for you guys to get over there right now, but don't fall into the trap of writing forever right now before you go. You don't need to do that. You could write a couple letters, let her know, hey, when things clear up again and I'm getting ready to come over, then we get in touch more and I'll be over there. But to go back and forth constantly, you just don't need to do that. Okay. Okay, let's see. You guys have come up with some good ideas here. I'm gonna give you a few more of my ideas. I'll get back to yours. Obviously, a comedy club is not going to work really well unless you speak the language. But that is kind of a fun first date thing in a way, because it's different than a movie, because you're sitting together at a table, and if it's a good comic and things are going fun, I mean, laughter disarms everyone. It's a great aphrodisiac, and it's fun if you can sit there. But a first date comedy club might be a little difficult, I think, especially if you're in a foreign country, obviously. A picnic is kind of a cool thing for a first date. You get the stuff together, right? You talk to her a little bit before you're going to go, right? Our staff can help you with that. And you ask her, well, what do you like? What kind of food do you like? Just try to get an idea what she likes. Maybe some cheese, whatever. Then you pack a picnic basket, right? And you put stuff in it like a bottle of wine, some cheese, some crackers, a little bit of smoked meats. Most of the Ukrainian women, at least, they love that kind of stuff. Again, I'm going by what my wife likes, but when I see her and all her friends, usually the smoked meats, the cheeses, olives, bottle of wine, you put that in a basket, and then you go off to a little spot that our staff can help you say, oh, where's a good place for a picnic? Oh, you go here to this park, you do this, you do that. Spread out a little blanket, you sit and you talk. You have some food, you eat, you drink a little. Cool, that's a fun first date, I think. We talked a little bit about horseback riding. Another thing that's kind of fun, and some of our clients have done this in some of the different countries, is the cooking classes. So you go together with her and you take a cooking class. And it doesn't matter you don't speak the language, so what? You just, do what she's doing, and you try to figure it out. You might have to have an interpreter with you if she doesn't speak any English at all, but that's okay. I mean, I can't tell you how many things that I do with my wife where I was the only English-speaking person. And Tanya, even though she spoke English, so she could, help translate to me, a lot of times she didn't translate much because she was enjoying what was going on, and I just went with it. And that's fine. I remember we went to a winery, and there's another good idea, guys, is wineries. I mean, those are fun to tour, right? You go to the winery, you're touring. I've done that with her, several different wineries in different countries, in the Ukraine, Russia, where I didn't speak the language at all. I remember we went to Masandra once in Crimea, And I embarrassed her a little bit because I do not like sweet wines, and Masandra is known for all these sweet wines. It was a beautiful castle, beautiful grounds, really cool everything, except when I was tasting the wine, I was making some really strange faces, and the person was a little offended who was giving the whole tour, and but I didn't understand her, so it didn't really matter. But Tanya kept kicking me beneath the table every time I snarled up my nose. But I can't handle sweet wine, what can I say? But wineries are fun, guys. It's a great place to go. All right, let's get back to you guys a little bit here. Even something like fishing. I know that sounds like a crazy thing, but you can do that in conjunction with a picnic idea if you find a place with a pond or something. And you think, well, John, how the heck am I going to get fishing gear and stuff? Again, guys, our staff is amazing. If you told someone that you want to go fishing, let's say that this woman said she liked fishing in her profile. I don't know. There's probably not a whole lot of women that are putting fishing in their profile. But you know what? My wife loves to go, like the little crawdad things or whatever. And she loves to go fishing. So some women, I'm sure, would like to do that. And so our staff will help you. They'll help you find a fishing pole. They'll do those kind of things. It's amazing the things they will do to assist you in trying to make a date a really cool thing and something that you impress her with. I mean, most guys are like, okay, let's go to a cafe, let's do this, let's do this. And if you say, hey, we're going to go fishing, and I'm bringing a picnic basket with us, that's a pretty cool deal. All right. Let's see. Thomas says, chemistry, by its nature, is physical attraction. Chemistry burns high, bright, and eventually burns out. Then what? Well, I totally agree, Thomas. If you only get married because all you have is the chemistry, then you're probably going to be in trouble, and you're going to have to really get to know each other and see what else is going on. But if you don't have some kind of chemistry or physical attraction to begin with, I think it's really hard to develop that. I mean, it's possible, and I've seen it happen in cases. But I think it's nice when you can have that physical attraction, you can have that chemistry, and then you get to know her much better, and then you decide if there's something really there. Because you're right, if there's not other things there, intellectual compatibility, emotional compatibility, all of those things, if those things are not there, then that physical chemistry that we talk about will wane very quickly, and you're left with nothing, really. There was a movie I saw. What was the name of that movie? God, I just watched it this weekend. Heartbreak Kid, I think it was, with Ben Stiller. Yeah. And, that kind of happened with him. He went through a breakup, right? And then he got invited to his wife's wedding, his ex-fiancée or ex-girlfriend's wedding. And he was feeling really down. Then he kind of ran into this woman on the street, literally ran into her. And oh my gosh, it just went really fast. It was this huge physical attraction. It was a whirlwind. And he thought he was in love, and he wasn't going to blow it this time. And he got married within like 6 weeks. And then on the honeymoon, he figured out that this isn't who I thought this woman was. We have absolutely nothing in common. And within 4 days, that physical attraction went way away, and he then found someone else he was interested in. The movie goes on. So that movie was a great example of what you just said there, Thomas, about that. You can't just have that chemistry. And I totally agree with that. All right, Ryan. First date is nice. Restaurant and a walk in the park. Simple and introductory for the first date, and more active dates to follow. Yeah, I think so. I mean, look, there's nothing wrong with that restaurant. I don't know if I'd go to a real nice restaurant again. I'm not crazy about that on the first date. But a nice restaurant. I mean, probably not McDonald's or something like that. Although in some places, McDonald's is like this big deal. I don't know, it's really crazy. But yeah. All right. Ronk says, go for a lovely walk in the evening and find a nice, quiet little cafe. Yeah. Just a nice, quiet little cafe. We just talk. There's other people around. You guys are talking. That's cool. First meet for lunch. If chemistry is good, then go ice skating. Like that, Joseph, if the weather permits. If not, go roller skating. But yeah, I kind of like that. That's fun. That's active. Yeah. Thomas, kind of first date depends on which city. However, one option, ask the lady. I like to see how creative she can be. That's cool, and there's nothing wrong with doing that. And look, I'm okay with that. But I like the idea of you taking control. I like the idea of you taking charge, of you impressing her. Maybe on the second or third day, let her pick a place. But on that first date, try to find out a little bit about her. Ask the staff again. The staff may know her. Chances are they do know her. If they don't, they can find out about her really quick. What is she like? What are her hobbies? What does she really like? And then you come up with that. Boom. Hey, you know, I know you're really artistic, you like this stuff. I got this really cool glass blowing class we can do. Okay. Now I know that's a little bit much, but something along those lines, it's kind of cool. I'm telling you. And these things I'm talking about are not out of the realm of possibility. Just because you're in a foreign country, you don't know where to go. Like I said, the staff is there to help. One of our clients did a hot air balloon ride for one of his dates, you know, and the staff set it up. Matter of fact, one of our managers even went with them on the balloon ride just to help with interpreting and whatnot. That's a cool thing, right? You know, go off on a hot air balloon ride over, you know, the hills of the Ukraine. Pretty neat. All kinds of different things you can do. All right. Larry, let's see. Mark says, hello, John. I don't have any idea what a good first date would be. Well, Mark, that's why you're watching the show tonight. You're going to giving you already 20 good ideas. So, you know, keep watching, make some notes. And again, when the staff is there, they will give you some good ideas, right? But that's why we're doing this show tonight, because a lot of guys get stumped like that, Mark. A lot of guys are like, I don't know what to do. You know, they get nervous, they don't know where to go, what to do. Just something fun, you know. And you don't have to be overly enthusiastic. You don't have to be, just be yourself. And the women are going to love that. They can see through when you're trying to put a mask on, when you're trying to, you know, just pretend like you're not who you are. Just be yourself, laugh, smile, and you'll be fine. Larry says, first date? I agree with John, to keep it simple. Maybe talk at a nice park, no spending money or consumption of food. I think guys especially should be careful about being too chivalrous too soon. Yeah, there's something to be said about that too, Larry. You're right, because, you know, if you're just going too crazy at the very beginning, the women look at you a little strange too, right? You want to be nice, and they want someone who's nice. They're not looking for bad boys in many of the countries that we go to, because everyone there is a bad boy. But you don't want to overdo it. Oh, you're so beautiful. Oh, I can't believe I'm on a date with you. You're so beautiful. You're wonderful. Because then you're basically giving all of your power to her. And then you have no leverage. You have no power left. You've given it all to her. Seinfeld had a fun episode about that with George. You know, he had the hand, right? I've got hand, until he didn't anymore. And that was pretty funny. But that's kind of what that show was about. That episode was talking about a little bit of power, a little bit of leverage, and that exists in all relationships. And you don't want to just give it all away on the first date by just talking about how beautiful she is constantly. She knows she's beautiful. She's beautiful. It's fine. You know, maybe you compliment her dress. You compliment her shoes. And you start talking about, you know, what she likes. Hey, so what do you like to do? What do you do? What hobbies do you do? You like work? What's the worst thing you hate about work? I mean, it's just fun stuff to talk about. Okay. John wants to know, John, when do you think a Euro Club in Kiev will be possible? That is, with no quarantine. I was hoping I was going to tell you that tonight, that all you got to do is take a test in the airport and then you're good to go, as long as you don't have it. If you have it, then there's a problem. But unfortunately, I can't tell you that right now. There was a rumor in the Ukraine that was going on, and that was going to happen very soon, and it may still. I mean, things change every day. While we're talking right now, I'll bet you the protocol changed 4 times in the last 40 minutes, because it just changes constantly. So all I can tell you is to keep looking, call in every couple days or few days if you really want to go right away, and we'll tell you what we know. But as of right now, yeah, you're stuck with a quarantine for 2 weeks if you're coming from the United States. If you happen to be listening to me from a country that has fared well with COVID, and you have about the same number of cases as they do in the Ukraine, then you can go right now. And we have some guys that are doing it right now. They're there. We're helping them with dates and things like that. A couple of the guys are quarantining. There's others that came from countries that did not require a quarantine. But if you're coming from the United States, you're coming from the UK, you're coming from, I think, Canada, although I'm not positive about Canada, then you're in what they consider a red country, and you have to quarantine. Now that might change if they do the testing. And I think the testing will be cool. They'll probably charge you for it, so you'll probably end up paying $100 or something in the airport for their test. But you'll probably have to wait an hour or two for the results. But if they can do it that way, then I think that would make a lot of sense. Okay, here's your test. Oh, you're fine. Okay, boom, go. All right. The only problem with that is if you caught it somehow on the plane ride over, the test isn't going to show that, at least for a few days. But, that's probably not too much what they're worried about. Okay, Larry says, John, very disappointed the Ukraine tour for July was canceled, especially because I had a lady picked out. Oh, I'm sure she's very disappointed too, Larry. I am willing to go alone to meet this lady without a tour. How can I do this? Well, we just talked about that. You can do it either with a Euro club, or you can just go individually and just meet her. And I get it that, you're chomping at the bit to get over there. I'm chomping at the bit to do the tours. But until we're allowed to do them, it makes no sense. I mean, I just heard an hour ago that they're closing all of the bars, gyms, and movie theaters in Arizona again. We just reopened everything a couple weeks ago. Now they're closing them again. This virus thing's crazy. But if you are willing to go over, Larry, and you're willing to quarantine for 2 weeks before you meet her, then we could set that up tomorrow if you want. But I'm not sure you want to go through all that. Now, if you want to wait until maybe they change that protocol and you have to take a test at the airport, then that's going to make it easier for you. You just take the test and then you're in, and we can help you meet her. We can help you meet other women. We could do the club. We could do whatever it is individually. And my guess is, Larry, that's the way this is going to go pretty much, unfortunately, for the next month or two, is that it's going to probably be a lot of individual dates going on. There's not going to be a lot of group things going on, because even if they open it up to foreigners, especially from the U.S., we can get you in there, it's going to be very difficult for us to do a social like what you're seeing here right now. I mean, they still have the restaurants closed pretty much. And to put 400 people or 600 people in an environment like we do is going to be very difficult for those group tours. But we can do the individual, we can do the clubs, we could do the one-on-ones, we could do all that. And we will. Our offices are open. Our staff is dying for you guys to come over. They want you to come over. And so, yeah, we're looking forward to it. All right. Dan in Florida. Do most guys who apply for a K-1 visa use AFA's attorney or their own? Well, we really don't have an attorney. I mean, we recommend Lori Wu, but we have other attorneys that you can use as well. And there's a ton of them out there on the internet. But I would say a lot of the guys do use Lori because she does a great job. And she's, I can't remember ever getting any complaint about her services. So the majority of them do, probably because it's just easy. We say, oh yeah, Lori's a good one. You go ahead and use her if you like. But you could use any attorney you want. I mean, it's not an issue. That's the beautiful thing, Dan, about the fiancé visas. It's a federal process, so it's not state specific. But what is state specific, if you're thinking about getting married, is the prenuptial agreement. So, if you decide that you're going to use Lori and you're going to do a fiancé visa, you may want to consider doing a prenuptial agreement. And if you're going to do that, you need to find another attorney to do that, because that is a state-specific process, and you need a good family law attorney in your state who has, hopefully, some kind of international experience, because there are differences when you're dealing with someone coming from a foreign country when it comes to drafting a prenup, and the actual ceremony of signing it and all that is a little bit different when you're dealing with someone that's not from this country. If you want it to hold up in court a year later, hopefully it's not tested a year later, but if you want it to hold up in court a year or 10 years or whatever, you need to make sure it's done properly. Okay? All right. Leonard, let's see. Leonard from Bangkok, our manager there, says, first date in Bangkok. I can't speak with Leonard. Leonard has an English accent. He's wonderful, but I can't do the English accent, so I won't even try. So excuse me, Leonard, for not saying this the way you would say it. But here we go. First date in Bangkok. We normally recommend a coffee in Soy 11 after meeting at the office, or early evening we recommend Sky Bar like Le Part or Above 11. If you are really brave, I am not, this is Leonard who's not, there is Vertigo. Look it up. Up being the operative word, Leonard. I'm assuming it's a very, very high, maybe rooftop restaurant or something like that. Cool. All right. Thank you, Leonard. I appreciate that. Brian says, hey, John, can I pay for any of the tours and will it roll over into next year because I know the price will go up a little bit? What's it going on with Thailand as far as a club tour? That's an interesting question, Brian, because if you do the deposit of $475, that you can roll over, obviously, and that will apply to any other tour. But if you pay for a tour in full, and then you take that same tour maybe next year as opposed to this year, then I suppose we would give you the same price. And if there is a little bit of an increase, that we would not charge you that increase because you paid for the whole thing. If you pay for just the deposit and the price does increase a little bit the next year, then we probably would. We're going to try and hold prices pretty much the same because of all this crazy stuff going on, that we didn't get to do a lot of these tours this year, looking like, unfortunately. I was really glad that I got to do the one in February to the Ukraine, and we got to do some in March. But since March, April, May, June, July, we have not been able to do a tour. And I don't know what's going to happen here in August. So we're going to try our darndest to keep prices the same going into next year. Okay. Thomas says, I've dated American women of the many stripes. I research where I'd like to go and make my plans. Someone wants to suggest where to go. It all depends. I like the fact that you research it. I like the fact that you make your plans, and I think that's the way to go, guys. I mean, if you were asking me my advice, hey, John, what do you want to do on the first date? I would say talk to our staff, get their advice, see if they know the woman, look at her profile, see what she likes. Does she like ballet? Ballet for a first date may not be so great. Definitely a second date or third date idea. But look at other things that she likes, and then take her. But the staff will have some really good ideas for you. And then when you come prepared like that, that really impresses a woman. Women look for men who can take care of them. They want the security. They want that. That doesn't mean they just want to be, a gold digger, just, oh yeah, take care of me. I'm just going to stay here and do nothing. They will contribute. They will do wonderful things for you. But they want the man to be the man. And they want you to have the capacity to take care of the family. And so when you show them on a first date, and they're kind of judging you how you act. Are you wishy-washy? Or I don't know what to do. What do you want to do? I'm not sure. No, hey, I'd love to go out with you. I got a great idea. It's a surprise, but let's go. It'll be fun. But you might want to wear some tennis shoes and some comfortable clothes. Or, you might want to, bring her a windbreaker or a raincoat because you might get wet or something. I don't know. You make it intriguing. You make it fun. I mean, I've done that with Tanya over the years. I mean, the first date stuff, not so much, but I did some pretty crazy, second, third, fourth dates type stuff. But even, once we were married and stuff, I would still, come home and tell her we're going someplace and not tell her where we're going. Even just recently when we used to go out to restaurants, remember that way back when? I would say, hey, we're going, where are we going? I'm not going to tell you. And she'd get in the car and I would take her to the place that I know she's going to like, right? And then we would go, but it'd be a surprise and she'd be happy. Sometimes it backfires on you, those surprises, but usually it's a good thing. And even if it backfires, you're still happy you tried. Okay? All right. A museum's kind of a cool thing. Look, you're in a foreign country, and one of the guys said earlier, ask her where she wants to go. A lot of times they'll take you to museums and stuff like that. And the museum's okay to walk through. Depends on the museum and stuff like that. I mean, my God, like in Colombia, they've got all kinds of really cool different museums and stuff to go to. Some are outside. In St. Petersburg, they have the Winter Palace and the Summer Palace, and a lot of that is just walking in these beautiful ornate parks and things like that. You go to a botanical garden. Those are kind of cool places to go for your first date, right? You're walking around this beautiful botanical garden with all these native plants and everything to the country that you're in. Some of those botanical gardens, especially in Colombia, China, places like that, they're amazing. If you're in the Philippines, maybe you're going to go a little island hopping. Island hopping for a first date, probably not a good idea, again, because you can't extricate yourself quickly if things are going bad. So, yeah, not good there. All right, let's see. If you're ever in Kiev, there is a toilet museum. And seriously, a guy took the woman to the toilet museum. He was like so impressed. He took 2 dates to the toilet museum. It's right across the street from the hotel that we stay in. I never knew it existed. And I guess it's like all these different toilets in history. He found it interesting. I don't know what the women thought. I don't think he had a second date. Maybe you don't want to go to the toilet museum on the first date. I don't know. Yeah. Something like maybe tennis. Is she athletic? Does she like golf, tennis, stuff like that? That could be kind of fun. All right. There's so many different things. And the staff, again, the staff will do a really good job of telling you what to do and where to go and helping you with that stuff. Okay. Hold on, I'm getting there. McKissick says, in Colombia, when a man first meets a woman, should he use the formal address or the familiar address, i.e. usted or tú? You know, I like to use the more informal, right? The more familiar address because, and I do that like in Russia. I would walk up to a table and usually you'd say something like, Dobry вечер, or something very, formal. And I would just walk up and say, Privet, как дела? It's like, hey, what's up? What's happening? You would only say that to a friend. And when you walk up to a table of 5 or 6 women and you used a very familiar, almost slang opening, they look at you with this shocked look of, and then they just start to laugh. Like, he doesn't know what he's doing, but I know what I'm doing. And it breaks the ice and it's fun. Privet, как дела? And they look at you like, oh, okay. And they just think it's funny and they laugh because you normally wouldn't do that to someone you didn't know. So in that case, yes, I would use the familiar address like that and see what happens. I think that's the way to go. It's fun. But you might want to, in the country that you're in, you might want to check it with the staff, but that's the way I would go. I just think it's fun. Okay, let's keep going here. Joseph said, I had a date in Odessa that she took me to her favorite places. She was so excited to show me. It didn't work out, but now we are great friends. Yeah. That's the idea. And you say it didn't work out, but you know what? It did work out. It did, because you're friends. Because these tours are not just about getting married. It's not just about, oh, I went on the tour, I didn't get married, oh, what a bummer, it was terrible. Very, very rarely does anyone ever say that to us. Now, they might say something like you said, and I know exactly where you're coming from, and I appreciate that, Joseph, but you're saying, hey, it didn't work out in terms of, yeah, we didn't get married, but we're friends. And that is really cool. And she was so excited to show you the different places. And these women, I say this all the time, they are really excited to show you. It's their country, it's their city. You're the foreigner. They want to show you around. But think about it. If she just flew over to the United States and popped into Las Vegas, Nevada, where you live, or Los Angeles, California, or Chicago, or Houston, Dallas, Phoenix, you're going to want to take her around and show her the cool things, right? You want to show her, where Kennedy got shot maybe down there in Dallas and that square and all that stuff, or whatever. All the different things that you like, that you're excited about, you're going to take her, you're going to show her. That's what they want to do to you. And it's so cool because that's one of the neat things about the tours, or even going over individually, is that you get to see these countries not through a tourist vision, but through a local's vision. And to me, that's just another layer of the experience that you get when you go over with us. And I've been talking about that for years. There's so many different layers of these tours that you get. And part of it is making friends, not just with the guys that are on the tour, which you will as well, but with the women too. I can't tell you how many guys I know that have made really good friends with these women. They stay in touch for years and years and years. I mean, I'm talking like over 15 years. I know some of these guys. I can think of one guy who made a friend with a wonderful woman in Poltava, and he's still friends with her, and it's got to be over 15 years that they've been friends. So yeah, this just goes on and on. So that was a really cool comment that you just made there. I think that was Joseph that did that. Okay, yeah, it was Joseph. Great comment, Joseph. All right. Joseph also says, if you want a date where you can touch her, if you social distance, it won't work. Yeah, well, this whole social distancing thing doesn't work really well with dating anyway. I mean, let's just face it. It's kind of hard to go on a date and, be in a bubble. So if you're going to go on a date, you're going to go on a date. You're going to take that risk, but at least you're not with, 100 other people. It's one-on-one, and, who knows. All right. Dan says, Chak Market in Bangkok. Chatuchak Market in Bangkok. I don't even know where that is, but okay. Blue, I love karaoke, but no one wants me to sing. Huh. I'm in the same boat with you, Blue. Joseph, Karaoke is my jam. I usually make people feel bad because this guy can sing. I love it. Hey, you know what? If you got it, flaunt it. And the women love that too. I've seen that. Because I watch karaoke. I won't do it because, again, I don't want to kill everyone, but I've seen it and the women love it. Especially when you're good. All right. Bill says, if the girl suggests an expensive place on the first date, it implies she is greedy. Nikolaev has a good zoo, by the way. Yeah, I'm not crazy about that either. She suggests a really expensive place on the first date, you know. Now, some guys have their own ideas of what's expensive. I've heard some guys actually say McDonald's was expensive. So if that's your idea of expensive, then we have to talk about dating. But if we're going to a restaurant that's, you know, going to be, you know, $100 or $200 for the meal right away, yeah, that's kind of pricey. And it may tell you a little bit about the woman. Some guys are fine with that. Other guys are like, yeah, I don't think so. And I've heard Nikolai. I haven't seen the zoo in Nikolai, but I've heard that they have a good zoo there. And this is a kind of a fun place to go. I like it. You know, no big deal. Dave from Rochester. Hey, Dave, how are you? For your poll question, a simple walk through the park or flower garden, slow pace and easy to talk and get to know each other. Yeah, I mean, that's fun. But it all depends on her, too. Sometimes, you know, something a little bit more, I don't know, fast or fun, something like a cooking class. Even on a first date might be fun because you're interacting with each other, you're making mistakes, you're blowing up the oven, you know, you're setting the place on fire, that kind of stuff. I mean, I don't know. You know, you have to decide what you feel good with and what's right for you. But Joseph said the zoo in Nikolai was depressing. Well, sometimes zoos can be depressing, right? Like I said, the one in St. Petersburg was pretty depressing because they had these little cages, and what was it, the tiger in this little cage, and they had like a shackle on its leg attached to the thing inside the cage. I'm like, geez. I mean, you go to the Phoenix Zoo and you don't even see any animals because it's so spread out and it's so wide and the animals are so well taken care of that on a lot of days you can go there, especially in the summer. You won't see anything because they're all hiding because it's 180 degrees here. I've heard my brother used to work at the zoo. Yeah, I was in there and I heard this woman really complaining that she didn't see any animals. Damn it. I paid $100 for me and my 5 kids to be here and we didn't see anything. And they gave her a refund, but they're like, I'm sorry, it is in the middle of the day in Phoenix in July and it's hot and the animals are, you know, finding shade and resting and yeah, they're not real active. Humans shouldn't even be that active in Arizona in the middle of July. I'm sorry. All right. You guys have some great stuff going on here. I'm really liking it. And I'm trying to get back to where we were, so hold on. Frank says, how long should you plan for a first date to last? Should the translator accompany you for the duration of the first date if the lady doesn't speak English? You know, the first date, I would plan for a couple hours. If you can just do like a 2-hour deal, maybe 3 hours tops, I wouldn't go much more than that on the first date, you know. And even, you know, hour and a half is fine. But, you know, and sometimes it's going so well you don't want it to end. So if you can leave it a little bit open-ended, that's kind of fun. And yeah, I would have the interpreter with us the whole time on the first date. If you feel you can get by without one on the second date, that's fine. But I wouldn't just, you know, kick her out because you might be going really well and then she leaves and all of a sudden you're having language problems. You think it was good, but she was really helping. And yeah, it's nice to have those interpreters sometimes because they're also experienced in dating and they can sometimes help to guide the conversation, help to guide what's going on, that kind of thing. So yeah. All right. Darren says if she likes dancing, would it be a good idea to take her salsa or Zumba dancing? First date, maybe. You got to be pretty comfortable with that, you know, and if you don't dance very well, that might not be a great idea. You know, I think that'd be more like a second or third date thing. Maybe on the first date, though, if you can pull it off. If you're confident enough and you feel good to go dancing, I wouldn't do that because I have 2 left feet. I'm not sure I have 2 left feet. I don't know what I have, but they're not good. And so I am not a good dancer. I just don't have those kind of talents, singing, dancing, you know, it doesn't work. So I wouldn't have done that with Tanya on a first date. I haven't done that with Tanya yet in 23 years. So obviously I wouldn't have done that on a first date. And Tanya likes to dance. But, you know, we'll go someplace sometimes and she'll dance and I'll just watch and that's fine. Yeah. All right. Museum or Chris says a museum or historical spot to learn about her country and culture for her to share with you. Yeah, let her be proud of her culture. Absolutely, we've been talking about that, and that's so cool. You know, let her show you what she really loves about where she is, and sometimes it just might be something like Tanya took me to where she was a ballet dancer. And she took me to where her ballet school was in downtown St. Petersburg. And we went in and we looked around and stuff. And that made her so happy. And it was really cool for me to see where she did that. You know, so sometimes it's something that's even more personal to them that they'll show you. Maybe not on a first date. That would be something probably that she wouldn't have done. But on a first date, you know, doing something that, you know, like taking you to the War Museum or taking you to, I don't know, whatever. Yeah, let her be proud of her culture. I think it's great. And again, our staff will help you. They'll give you a lot of good advice of what to do and what not to do. Okay, let's see here. Any advice? Oh, hold on. Guys are getting a lot here. We're going to go over here. Okay, hold on. Greg says, eat pizza, play pool, and drink a beer, then walk down the hill on Underskaya Descent Street. Yeah, that's cool. Don't drink too much beer if you're gonna walk down the hill, because steep hill. But yeah, I like that idea. You're relaxed, you're fun, you're playing pool. As long as she's the kind of girl that's okay with that. Now, some girls might not like that. Everyone's got their different tastes and whatnot. But yeah, I think that's kind of fun. Mark says, John, I think if I had to venture a guess as to a first date would be a walk in the park, maybe with a nice bunch of flowers. Yeah, that's fine, but that's another thing to be thinking about too, is, if you bring this huge thing of flowers on that first date, it's good to bring flowers on the date, but if you're going to be doing a lot of walking and stuff, then she's got to carry the thing the whole way for 2 or 3 hours. And so maybe you give her the flowers, you offer to carry them for her or something like that, because you don't want to give her a burden. Here's this wonderful big bouquet of flowers. Now you carry it for the next 3 hours while we go walk around and do all this stuff. So be thinking about that kind of stuff. Be considerate. It's great that you're bringing flowers, but maybe you carry them or you stash them someplace and come back and get them, or whatever you can do. Alejandra, maybe some exercising that both like doing, like biking and then a casual lunch. Yeah. Or take a class. I've had guys that have done couples massage. I've had guys, and even on a first date, they've done that. Women love that. Most women will love massages. Again, believe it or not, I don't like massages. I'm not like a massage guy. Tanya loves massages. And so, yeah. She'll always get massages, or I'll give her a massage, although I'm not probably the best masseuse in the world. But yeah, and so exercising, a spin class. Just go, it depends on her. She's really active. Maybe that's what she does. Maybe she's a yoga instructor. And you go, you know what, I'm going to take a yoga class with you, because maybe you've had some experience. If you've never done yoga, you may not want to do that your first date with her. But if you're used to it and you want to go do a yoga class and take her class or something, how cool would that be? I mean, there's all these different ideas, guys. You can be creative. It's not always just we go to a restaurant, we eat, we talk. There's a lot of different things. And when you do something different, you're going to stand out in her mind a little bit more, right? So if you put a little bit more creativity into that date idea, and not just the first date, but the second date, the third date, if you really like this woman, you're wooing her, there's that word again, then you want to come up with some creative, cool things to do. And the more creative you are, the more she's going to know that you put the thought into it, right? Not just, okay, we go to restaurants, I pay, we go home. I mean, no, you do these different things, you surprise her, and that's what women like. They want that. All right. Okay, let's see here. Oh boy. Any advice for those who are not best dancers? I was advised to wear black shoes and go out into the middle of the dance floor. Okay. I don't know about the black shoe thing, but you just throw yourself out there. Just move around a little bit, look whatever the people are doing. I mean, that's kind of what I do. I'm not the best dancer in the world, but I can get out there and just kind of do it. I don't really enjoy it. Dancing is not my thing. But, you want to get out there and do it a little bit, that's fine. Wage Slave says, hey John, there's a girl on the website from Donetsk. How would I go about meeting her given the issue of Donetsk in Ukraine? Try to get her to come to Kiev. That's probably the easiest and safest way for you. You go to Kiev and say, hey, would you come to Kiev? It's a lot easier for her to get to Kiev to meet you than for you to try to go to Donetsk. The People's Republic of Donetsk or whatever it is these days. I would probably not do that, but if you can get her to come to Kiev to meet you, that would be my advice. Dan says, Bangkok's Chatuchak market is huge and you can buy, I probably went there and you could buy anything from Siasia, honeycomb shops for acres, street vendors. I went there. I know what you're talking about. It's almost like a huge flea market thing, I believe, where you got all kinds of stuff everywhere and you get everything. Yeah, that was a big thing. My wife had to go because she loves doing those things, and we went to that market, and it is huge, and it is forever. And you're right, I just didn't, I'm still not pronouncing it right, I'm sure, but I didn't recognize the name. But we went there, and it is really cool. You can get anything there. I mean, and it is very local and very cool. Yeah. Sly, nice cafe. It's a no-brainer. You don't even know her yet. Things go well. Take a walk afterwards in the city. Yeah, I think that's great. Rick says, John, are there shooting ranges to go to the Ukraine on a first date? There are shooting ranges there, and you can go there on the first date. Just don't piss her off. It could be a problem. She's got a gun. She's, carrying. Frank, I believe that an escape room is a fun date. It will provide insight into her personality. Maybe too soon for a first date. I think an escape room might be a little too soon for a first date. It's just my thinking. I've never done the escape room, but I understand the concept, and I'm not sure it's a great idea for a first date, but maybe. Joseph, if you are both into hookah, I had a great day at a bar drinking and smoking. If you're both into hookah, yeah, that's fine. And a lot of the women, especially in the Ukraine, are. So that's cool. Yeah. Okay, Mark says, hi John, nice show as always. Thank you so much, Mark. A first date would be bring her to a go-kart track for a fun date. I'm sure that we are go-kart places in Kiev, regardless. Mark, Brisbane, Australia. Mark, I think from Brisbane, Australia, that's cool. We get a lot of guys coming from Australia lately. You guys are great. You're wonderful, always very polite. You guys do well. Yeah, the go-kart thing's fun, and I know there's go-kart places over there that you can do. Sometimes they're in conjunction with the zoo or other places, but you can go find those. And that's fun. That's what I'm talking about. Those kind of things are just fun. Makes you feel like a kid again. Sly, second day is when you plan something more special. Yeah, I'm there with you. I think that's true. Because now you know things are good. Now you know you want to spend more time with her. Unless something goes very awry, you're going to spend maybe a nice restaurant or something really cool. Okay. Dennis, men seem to take advantage of the gender gap. It appears, hold on, I lost that. Men seem to take advantage of the gender gap. It appears lead to a large number of young, single, never married women and children. Are these women more accepting of by older men, lower expectations? Well, there is a bit of a gender gap we're talking about in the Ukraine, where there are going to be there are more women than men, and never married women with children. Are these women more accepting of older men? Yeah, they are a little bit more accepting of older men, but for a lot of different reasons, not just because there's not that many men where they are, although that's one of the reasons, but another reason is that of the men that are there, many of them don't want the responsibility of marriage, the financial responsibility, the emotional responsibility, all that. And so women tend to look for men who are 10, 15 years older, 20 years older, whatever that is, because they view that men as being more secure and more loyal and more apt to take care of the family. So that's why they are open to that larger age difference. And you'll see that. I think the age difference in the United States, and I've said this for a long time, is probably one of the most inelastic age differences of anywhere in the world. Whereas if you travel to other places in the world, in Europe in general, in Latin America, in Asia, you will see where the age difference, the women are more accepting of a wider age difference. They really are. Okay. That doesn't mean to go out and find a 40-year age difference, okay? Because that can be a little difficult. Once it starts getting much over 20 years, you gotta be a little bit more careful. All right. Mark says, John, I'm so shy, I think it would be hard for you to make a good decision for a first date. Mark, that's why you need the staff. The staff will tell you what to do. If you can't make that decision, they're gonna say, okay, Mark, you know, this is the woman you're going out with, and we know she likes this. You can do this. Go here. That's what's the beauty about going with us, is that you're going to have as much or as little support as you want during this whole adventure, right? Some guys we see all the time. They're in the hospitality room during the tour, and we're helping them. And some guys we don't see at all. And they're just out doing their own thing. And they don't need any more help. They went to the socials, they've had the date set up for them, and then boom, they're just off and running doing what they're doing. And a lot of guys are in between. A lot of guys will get some help, but they're also out. So you get the extremes of people that are in the office all the time needing a ton of help, which is fine. That's what we're there for. Guys that are never in the office needing very little assistance for whatever. And then guys that, are in the middle. And most of the guys are in the middle, and that's great. That's the beauty of this tour. It is at your own pace. You get as much help as you need. Joseph says in Kiev they have off-road tours, and those are a blast. Yeah, that's fun. Get like a Jeep type thing and go off-road and experience stuff like that. Absolutely. McKissick says European Union is considering banning Americans. Ukraine has. Oh, I'm sorry. I think he said has. I think he meant has. Has Ukraine made a similar announcement? No. What the Ukraine is doing is saying that if you come from any country that has more cases than we do, like the United States, then you have to quarantine for 2 weeks. And that's what the Ukraine stance is. The European Union might just ban Americans. Yeah, well, okay, fine. We didn't want to come over there and eat frog legs anyway in France. So, yeah, okay. Sly, first date McDonald's. Turn on your American charm. That may sound funny, guys, but a lot of guys are taking women to McDonald's for the first date, especially like 20 years ago. That was kind of like a big deal back then. And in some kind of the smaller places, it still kind of is like this kind of experience to go to McDonald's. And, when McDonald's first opened in Eastern Europe, at least, it was a big event to go to McDonald's. And the parents would dress up the kids, people would get in their Sunday finest, and they'd go to McDonald's. And the kids would get the big balloon and everything, and it was an amazing thing. So it's kind of, that's worn off a little bit, but you can still probably get away with that. All right. Let's see. Chuck says, a good first date is a daytime date doing something active such as tennis, bike riding, or golfing. Bike riding is a good idea too. I like that. For the Ukraine tours, I look at the U.S. Embassy website. That website said the situation can change every 3 days, and one requirement is you must have proof of medical insurance to cover the virus-related issues. Do they require a mask in public in Ukraine? I vibered one lady in Odessa. She said no one is wearing masks in Odessa. Yeah, they don't care in Odessa. No one's wearing, but they're supposed to. So yeah, the edict is you're supposed to wear a mask in the Ukraine when you're there. But some regions are taking it more seriously than others, and we'll see how that plays out. They say they're evaluating every 3 days, and they probably are. But right now, they're requiring the 14-day quarantine. And yes, even with the 14-day quarantine, you do need insurance proving that you have the virus. Now, we have a couple clients over there. They went through the system. I've talked with our staff who's talked with them about how, what they say it went through. And as far as the insurance goes, he had it and everything, but they hardly even looked at it. And he didn't think they even understood what he was showing them. And they just said, okay, and let them go. But you never know. They might get a little anal about it. And you want to make sure you have it, obviously, because if you do catch the virus, you want to be covered. You want to be able to make sure you have a provision that you can be airlifted out and to wherever, the best medical attention is, which may not be in the Ukraine for you. So, yeah. All right. Joseph says you can even rent a tank in the Kiev. Yeah. Well, there's like in Moscow, they're still doing where you could fly a MiG, right? You're with a pilot. You're not doing it by yourself. But yeah, you fly a MiG. There's amazing stuff that you can do. Stephen says, I just heard that the European Union is banning the United States from flying to European countries since they say that the United States is a red zone. Yeah, that's going to be happening, guys. And the only problem with that is if you're going to try to go to the Ukraine, even if you're okay with a 14-day quarantine, if your connecting flight is going through Frankfurt or Amsterdam or Vienna, will they let you transit through there now? This is all very new, and I don't know the answer to that yet, but I'm sure we'll find out over the next few days, right? So, but if that's the case, there are direct flights out of New York to Kiev via Kiev Air, or Ukrainian Air, excuse me. So, that's a possibility. All right. Mark in Orlando says, what's your take on why pretty much impossible to get travel visa for women from Ukraine? Tried several times with no luck. Just form letters from the embassy in Kiev as women say interviews, not really even cure, and we're terrible as you have any luck. Let's think travel visa is a nice way to go to bring a USA and spend time together and see if she likes there or not, and then proceed with a fiance if decided marriage, but not sure if can marry even on a travel visa. Your thoughts, Mark? Okay, so we've talked about this quite a bit, but basically what's going on with that is that a lot of Ukrainians and Colombians and Chinese people and, goes on and on for a lot of the countries that we go to, not just the women, but people in general from those countries have come over on travel visas and overstayed the visa and not gone back. And so the United States is very picky about who they give travel visas to from those countries. And so they're going to vet it very closely, and they're going to look for things like, okay, have you traveled to countries before where it's difficult to get a visa, like Canada, like Australia, like places like that? And have you played by the rules? Do you have a lot of money in the bank? Do you have a very strong job? Do you have a lot of reasons that you can give me that will tell me that when I give you this visa, you're going to play by the rules and you're not going to overstay and you're going to actually come back to your country? And unfortunately, a lot of times the women cannot pass that test, and so they get denied. And that's why you're seeing that. Now, if she gets a travel visa and she comes and things go very well and you want to get married, can you marry her? Well, if she got the travel visa before she met you, and she came and you met here and you fell in love, then yes, you can marry with no problem. You don't have to worry about it. But if you met over there and she got the travel visa because she told them she wanted to go see the mouse at Disneyland, and she really, didn't mention you at all, and then she comes and you guys get married right away, well, then she kind of lied about why she was getting that travel visa, and now she is going to stay, but she's staying because she married you, but that might be a problem. So they could give you an issue about that. I've never seen it in 25 years, but yeah, that could be an issue. Hold on one second here. Okay, sorry, gotta get a drink. A little Mountain Dew because we're going to extra innings here, and I'm just gonna try and I'm not gonna get all the questions again, but I'm gonna try and get to a few of these here before we go, because you guys are coming up with some really great deals here. I understand that Playa del Carmen is still open to American tourists. Is it possible to meet ladies at this time? Yeah, we have a client that's going there next week. This week, I think he's going to be there. And yeah, you can go there, although they're opening and closing all the time too. So you got to be careful and watch what's going on there. But we're going to be trying, hopefully, I don't know, we'll see, but there may be a possibility we could be doing a tour there next year. We'll see, I'm hoping. All right. Where are we here? Johnny says, I think a museum's a good first date. They're usually pretty cheap to get into, and it gives you lots of things to talk about. Yeah, I think a museum's a great way to go. Joseph said, if you go to the Ukraine, be prepared to walk a lot. If you go anywhere, be prepared to walk a lot. You go to Colombia, you're going to walk. Costa Rica, you're going to walk. Philippines, you're going to walk. Because the women walk like crazy. But yeah, especially in Ukraine, yeah. Oh, it's just a short walk. Yeah, 2 miles later. Yeah. Dan's asking if anyone's having any luck using any of the language translator apps that are available on smartphones. There's so many different ways to go about that. Yeah. Tanya said, Tanya. Tanya says, this is Tanya. She's watching. Hi, Tanya. I took you to the market in Bangkok. We took a long ride on the subway, bought some scarves. Yeah, I remember that. I told them I remembered. I did remember before you reminded me. But yes, we did go to that market. It was really cool. Yeah. Maurice, where do the ladies from Ukraine like to go for fun? Bowling, Maurice. They like to bowl or karaoke. Hard to go wrong with those two things. All the other stuff we talked about, you can do. I mean, there's wineries, breweries. Here's a funny off-the-wall thing. If you don't want to have a second date, a graveyard. Take her to a graveyard. That's something like I would do because I love graveyards. I love the history of them. I love reading the tombstones. And the ones in the Ukraine and in Colombia and places like that, they're really ornate. In the Philippines, they're really different. And it's really a cool thing to walk through. But most women aren't going to like that, so you probably won't get a second date. So it may not be the best thing to do, but yeah, graveyard. Yeah. Another really cool thing to do too, for the restaurant ideas, take her on a 3-course meal. First date, maybe not so much though. No, this isn't a good first date thing. I'm sorry, scratch. I was going to say take her on a 3-course meal at 3 different restaurants. You go to the first restaurant for an appetizer, second restaurant for the main course, third restaurant for dessert. It's kind of fun. It's kind of goofy, but it's fun. And I've done that before, and it's enjoyable. You know, you pick out all these different places and you go. Yeah. Okay. Tom, what are the socials like in China? Is it like speed dating, moving to the table at timed intervals? Is there dancing, alcohol beverages served? China's a little bit more subdued. It is a lot more like speed dating. There is no really alcoholic beverages being served because of just of the culture there, really. And there's not a lot of dancing going on. It's more about just talking, light music in the background, and interacting with all the different women. So, yeah. Okay. Sly says, nothing impresses lady more than picking her up with a driver. Yeah. Yeah, that's cool. Thomas says, I danced salsa for 20 plus years, even choreographed salsa cardio in the gym when I was a fitness trainer. I would not recommend going salsa or Zumba dancing on the first date. Yeah, I'm with you, Thomas. I think you're probably right. I think that's just too much for the first date, and I would agree with that. I can't do it after 23 years of marriage. I probably couldn't do it. Sorry, Tanya. I know Tanya likes to dance. Chris says, blow up the oven? Oh my God, you got me cracking up. I know you cook. Too funny, John. Chris, I cook, but I do some crazy things. You can ask Tanya, and I've blown up more than one thing. I'm telling you, I almost burnt down that whole damn hotel. Talk about a crazy date. And that was like, when I came back, one of our, it wasn't like a first date, but it was like a, I don't know, 4th or 5th date. And, I created a whole restaurant inside the hotel room, basically, and with the menus and everything. And I wasn't prepared, even though I practiced and I tried, and I did almost burn the place down. And they're really mad at me, probably still to this day. So, yeah. Sly says, get a driver, pick her up, open her door, have chocolates and flowers on the seat. Cool, Sly. Sly's a romantic. Your romance is coming out, Sly. Andrew. Great first date in Kiev. Gulliver Mall has a great bowling alley. They don't bowl much. It's a little pricey for them. Food and drinks were good there, too. Interpreter had fun, too. Yeah, they love bowling over there. I don't know what it is, but yeah, bowling's a fun thing to do. Yeah. And Gulliver Mall is right by the hotel we stay at for the group tour. I mean, it's walking distance. It's right there, and it's fun. Greg says, I wonder if you have already had the virus and are immune to it, if that would make a difference in entering the Ukraine or other countries. Well, again, not right now, Greg, because they're not looking at it that way. But when they start the testing, if they do that, then yeah, that's going to make a difference. But when you go over, they'll test you. If you don't have the virus, then you're good. If you do, then you have to quarantine. And if you have already had it and they see the antibodies, then you're golden as well, I think. And the last question of the night, Chris. Second to last question of the night. Great topic tonight. Remember, if the click happens, keep in mind a backup to do afterwards if you don't have another date scheduled. Yeah, big thing. If you don't have another date scheduled, you guys are starting to stand up women because you don't want the date to end, and you got like a 3 o'clock, a 5 o'clock, a 7 o'clock, an 8 o'clock, all these dates with not enough time in between and not enough time to go a little bit longer on the date if it's going well. So keep that in mind when you're having the staff set up all these dates. You guys are like dating machines. But you do want to have a backup to do afterwards if you don't have another date scheduled to keep the energy flowing, grow off the energy connection. That's a good thing to do, but don't milk it too much. There's an old saying, you always want to leave them wanting more, right? So if you do it too long, then it can work against you. So you got to know when to say goodbye, right? You go out with that high applause. And everyone's saying, yeah, John, you're going 20 minutes over, take your own advice. That's why this is the last question. This is it, and we're leaving. Mark in Orlando says, any thoughts about possible tours in some other Eastern European countries? There's also nice ladies there, I feel, and something like to look into traveling there since been to the Ukraine many times. Well, we have an office in Russia, so you're more than welcome to go to Russia. The group tour is not there, but you could do the club, right? So you could do a Euro club in St. Petersburg, which St. Petersburg, if you've never been there, is one of the most beautiful destinations you will ever see anywhere, especially in Eastern Europe. I love it. It's beautiful. So that's a great destination if you haven't been there yet. And as far as Eastern Europe, again, you could do somewhat of a club in Belarus, so we can help you with that as well. So there's another country, and that's kind of like the Jurassic Park, it's been said, of Eastern Europe, but it's really a cool country, but still like going back in time even compared to Ukraine or Russia. And yeah, we're not in that many other places right now in Eastern Europe. We're always looking. You never know. Right now, we're not really looking about expanding. We're trying to get the tours done that we have. So, guys, that was a fun topic. We got a lot out there. And I think we all understand. Another good one, by the way, before we go, for a first date, I think, too, is an amusement park. Kind of like a zoo type thing. An amusement park is kind of fun. You go on the rides, you get sick, you throw up on her. You never know. That could turn out to be something good. I don't know, but amusement parks are fun. All right. That was fun. Sometimes we just put way too much thought into, this whole international dating concept and what to do, what not to do. But guys, in the end of the day, it is still just dating. These are wonderful women. And the same concepts pretty much apply. Yes, there's different cultures. Yes, they're brought up differently. Yes, I understand all that, and it's great, and we talk about that. But she is still a woman. She wants to feel special. She wants you to make her feel special. That's it. And so if you can do that, and if you can come up with some ideas that shows that you put a little bit more thought into this than just going down to the corner market, right, or the corner cafe, but you put some thought into it for her, even on a first date. You don't want to go overboard. You don't want to make it seem like, it's creepy or that you're giving her all your energy and all your power away. So there's a balance there, but you still want to show her that you care, that you did a little bit of research, that you know a little bit about her. Not too much, but a little bit, and you can ask questions. So it's all about that balance. And then, you move it into a second date, then a third date. And if that chemistry is really there, oh man, the way that progresses is just so cool. It's great. I see it all the time. All right. And I want to see it more, and hopefully this virus will allow that here soon. So, we're going to keep you up to date as we become up to date on what's going on in the different markets that we're at. We're hoping that the Cebu tour in August can possibly be a go, although, they just kind of went backwards and put another heavy quarantine on all the people there, and very difficult to go anywhere right now, but that's supposed to lift before the end of August, so we'll see what happens. And Leonard keeps telling me that he really thinks that the tour in Bangkok is going to be a good possibility in late August as well, so we'll see. We're getting, July's right around the corner here on Wednesday, so, it's moving, so we'll see. All right, guys. We're going to have the Philippines show this Wednesday. Rana, she gets a lot bigger audience than I do. I don't know what happened there. You guys seem to love her, and that's great, so make sure you log into Rana's show and watch what she has to say. She'll give you more updates about what's going on in the Philippines. And that'll be Wednesday. Same bat time, same bat channel, as they say. Of course, no one probably even knows what that is. I'm aging myself. But yeah, we'll see you 5:30 Wednesday for that one. Until then, guys, have a great night. And thank you so much for participating. You guys are awesome. See you next Monday.
Good morning, guys. Today we're in Kiev and we want to show you this beautiful city today. This is Premier Palace Hotel and where we usually stay, Premier Rus Hotel. And we will show you around, we will show you the currency exchange, we will show you what are the prices in Kiev and what a beautiful sunny weather today that will help you with us.
Hello guys! Here is the Independence Square and there is the heart of Kiev city. There are a lot of things to see. There are a lot of restaurants with Ukrainian national food. And not only, also you can find Italian and Georgian, and possible you will find even something more interesting. There are a lot of shoppings here. Downstairs there is a big shopping mall. You can buy their brands from the whole world. Also, there are hotels where you can live in. Welcome to our Kiev! You can rent apartment, you can live in Hyatt or Ukraine or Dnipro or Hryshchatyk, and I'm sure you will like all these places. Now we are in a very beautiful restaurant with a great view. You can look it right now. And as you see, everything is available. Restaurants are open, squares are open, and our Kiev staff and people in Ukraine are waiting for you very, very much. Welcome to our Kiev.
One of my most favorite places is this new pedestrian bridge, which was recently opened. It is connecting the Arch of Friendship of all nations together with St. Volodymyr Hill, which is right there. The bridge gives you a wonderful view to the city center on one side and the Dnieper River on the other. Even the weather is welcoming you. Let's also walk through the streets of Vozdvizhenka and take a look at this nice but a little bit fake historical building.
Hello guys, my name is Victoria. I'm office manager of AFA Kiev office. I'm happy to greet you finally. We reopened, we start our full functioning work. We attracted many new ladies profiles. We had a